This is my second day of releasing bees, and here's one I just let the bees come out. I just now took the fuse out. What I do, if you haven't seen the other video, is I check the shim on top. If I see bees they want out, then I go ahead and I pull the fuse, and bees are drawn to the light, and hopefully that they would come down, or the bees that want out will come down, what I'm trying to say. And then after they've been out, after I've had this out for a while, and I don't see any more bees, I go ahead and I plug it up. I had one down here because there's not a lot of light down there, and the bees were still up here. I went ahead. The next step is to take out the rag that I have on the inner cover. See, I don't really want to go to the trouble to look at the size of that colony. I don't want to go to the trouble to release the strap and take that screen off. It's just not a lot of room in here, so I just take the fuse out in my first step, and then if that doesn't work, I pull out the rag that's in that hole on the inner cover. See, I have an LED flashlight. If you can't see, not enough light, I take the flashlight and I look. And what happens is, I know they're going to do cleansing flights. I'm not opposed to that. Every spring I go through and I clean my walls. And this is the moisture coming off the bees, the hives. Look at that moisture. And this is basically a deck. It's elevated from the ground. And there's insulation and radiant floor tubing with hot water in it. When it gets too cold, the thermostat comes on. But right now it's probably in the 40s. And you see the water comes down, goes down, and this gets wet. So the bees get stuck in that. So I got to be sure that I'm here every couple hours, come in here and gather up the bees. And this is what I do with them. I put them in here. See? These are the smaller colonies that need help. They would not survive unless I add bees to them. And if it's not a rush, I don't worry about putting a rag on them. Sometimes they won't come out because I see daylight, so you put a rag on it. But right now, I'm not worried about it. I'd have to get several more rags. And I'll leave that like that until tonight. And then when it's dark, they'll go in there. And tomorrow, I'm going to do exactly the same thing until I get all these bees with equal strength as the rest of these colonies. That's my goal, is to get all my colonies the same strength. The larger colonies are going to help out the small colonies. And see, my wife asked me this question. She said they're walking up this window here and they're going over here to this. This is the south, because that's where the sun is. Insects always go towards the sun for some strange reason. They're not going that way, they're going this way. And then what I could do is I could scrape these up into a jar. And look at all those there. I'm going to be gathering those up next. But the colonies outside are just fine. If I find a colony that's not large enough to get through winter, I check the shims. If I don't see bees, I check. You have to look at my other videos. I check to make sure the colony's cluster is big enough to get through winter. If they're not, I strap them. And the reason why I brought these in, because it was in the teens. Last winter I made a mistake. I left 2 deeps in a medium and I can't pick it up. So this year, any colony that's not big enough for 2 deeps, and I see them up here in the hive, I'm taking a deep away from them so that I can bring them in when I need bees. It's in the 30s out right now, or almost 30. There's still snow on the ground. But my goal right now is to get some of these extra bees out and get them in the small colonies. When I get that done, and there's no more bees coming out, I'll close them up, and maybe tomorrow, if it looks like they're going to do cleansing flights, all these hives here, all these colonies are going to go out on a deck. And if they get a chance to do cleansing flight, great. But if they don't, at least I gave them the option to do that. It's important. They got to make sure if there's a nice day for them to have cleansing flights. But if it doesn't warm up enough, then I make a note when the last time they had a cleansing flight, and I keep counting the time that goes by. But for me to leave them in here when it's 40 degrees out and sunshine, and I see those bees flying outside, it would be foolish for me not to bring these out. So I try to watch the weather forecast. I want these out before those bees come out, because sometimes we only have 2 or 3 hours. If I were to just bring these bees out, it would take me an hour, and they'd only have an hour of daylight left, and there's a good chance they're just going to end up falling on the snow or whatever. So it's kind of critical to watch the weather and make sure you move the hives at the proper time when it's a good day for them to do cleansing flights. For me to move them outside and have to bring them back in later that day and they didn't do a cleansing flight, it's just a waste of my energy. Okay, I know this is kind of confusing, but this is what I do. It keeps me busy all winter long, just to let your colonies sit outside, and you would do whatever you're doing. You know, watch football games on a weekend or whatever. Not consider looking at your colonies is kind of foolish to me. They're worth a lot of money. Why would you just sit on your ass and sit there all winter long and not do what I'm doing now? It doesn't make any sense to me. That's why I can grow a lot faster than any other beekeeper in the United States. Because I try to minimize my losses during the winter. I just don't wait and see how many colonies I have in the spring. It's very stupid to do that. Okay, thank you.